Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now call to order the October 3rd, 2019 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows Julie is excused and Allie is not here. Otherwise, everyone is in attendance. Number 3, agenda changes. Nothing. 4, consent agenda. A, September 19th, 2019 regular board meeting minutes. B, licenses and permits. Operator licenses, 1, Lori Jensen. C, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Are there any questions? If not, could I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. 5, pre-registered citizens to be heard.
Dan Mullen, 234 South Mill.
I live in the corner of Bath and Mill Street. You removed the stop and go light, the stop sign there maybe 2 months ago. I'm now requesting that you remove the stop sign on Mill Street, because nobody stops anyway, so why have it there? At least then maybe we'll get some reaction, because people aren't slowing down on Bath. They're like moving through there like it's a highway. In Mill Street, everybody comes up Mill, makes a turn, or just goes straight through. They look, oh, no traffic's coming, and just go straight through there. It's getting very frustrating, and there's a lot of little kids in that neighborhood.
Thanks, Jan. Number 6, committee reports. A, Public Facilities Committee.
We've had a couple meetings since the last board, I think. I wasn't here for the last board, but in between the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple meetings. We're going to probably identify or work on a couple of them this evening. First one. Yeah, first 4, A, B, C, and D. So I'll, most of that will come up in the next, under new business.
Number 7, unfinished business from previous meeting. There is none. 8, new business. Little Free Pantry, Municipal Center Hallway.
I'm gonna leave Dave, come up with that.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in your packet, whether you have it in paper or if you have it on print, we included probably about a 10 or 12 page synopsis of the Little Free Pantry, and I think everybody knows what we're looking for. So essentially, the group came to Public Facilities to have a discussion. We deliberated twice. Pat was a big part of it, so they elected to do either, and Julie was also a major part of this. So major discussions were who takes care of it, sizes of it, who's going to monitor it, is it an inside thing, is it an outside thing. So the group came to a consensus that it would better serve the community to have it inside in an area that's accessible, that would help prevent spoilage, take the weather issue out of it. So we looked for that area. They deliberated the village hall here, talked about the library, which isn't 24/7 accessible. What we've concluded is the area adjacent to the police door, it's not in the vestibule, but in the secured police area when you come in from the outside. We gave them a physical measurement, and it sounds like tonight they would ask permission to place on a trial basis a Little Free Pantry that would be built. I don't think we ever came about who's going to build or where we're going to get it from, but in order to move forward with the process, they're looking for permission to place it in the area adjacent to the policing door in an area that's secured, it's got camera, and it's out of the elements on a trial basis. So, I guess, and essentially we're looking for something about 4 feet wide, 20 inches deep, and about 3 feet tall. It'd be sitting around the floor, secured. It would be a nice cabinet that somebody would build for this little movement here and give it a trial run. I guess they didn't set a time frame. They're hoping that, you know, get a place by the first of the year and see what happens. If it doesn't take, we do away with it. But going through public facilities, you want to have a mention and see if there's any comments or concerns with people coming into the building that might be taking advantage of the free goods out of there. So
I guess to follow up with that, nowhere in the research that we did, was there an issue with that, you know, with people taking more than they should or whatever. And this kind of removes judgment, hopefully, with having a little free pantry. It's meant as being a stopgap between the actual food pantry and Dale, or, you know, when people just need one or two things to get over. Most of the little free pantries or people that are doing this just on their own are in public places, out in the open, just in neighborhoods. And I guess, you know, personally, I've had some concerns that, you know, maybe if there's cameras there, I could see some people maybe opting not to go there because they know that someone would see them go there. But I think this would be a good start. You know, I would love to see us go ahead and try it. There were 2 women at the meeting that talked about wanting to help, so.
I addressed all the food code issues with Allegheny County. We were concerned about theft, or somebody coming in, opening up cans and stuff like that, and outdated products and stuff like that, so they're going to take their time to make sure that everything's fresh and up to date. Okay.
Any other questions?
So I read through the stuff. Is there, you're looking at putting it inside this building? Is there any liability issue?
I don't think so. The only thing that we discussed was potentially a tipping hazard where we make sure that a cabinet, if built, would be fastened or would be tipped, wouldn't be able to be tipped on somebody trying to access it. So whether it be weighted down or secured to the wall, you know, like a dresser, you know what I'm saying? I always have,
Yeah.
we could make sure it's secured so it's not a hazard.
The
Is there-
advantage of one on the floor would be that if someone was using a wheelchair, they could also access it.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of them are raised, like the one at the Y is up,
Yeah.
but,
Sort of like the little libraries. that we-
it is, that's
Yeah.
a spin-off of the Little Free Libraries, right?
So are we looking for somebody to donate this, or are we
We
looking
talked
to?
about, even finding a used, like an old cabinet that could be refurbished. The one at the Y was built by a high school student,
Mhm.
and all the materials were donated. I think if you go to the Restore or whatever, I think there's enough people interested in it in the community that would assist. It wouldn't be something that would fall on the village.
Essentially, we've not heard any financials. We just been asked for a place to place it
Okay.
at this point.
But on the reading that the handout stuff, it was like, okay, somebody gets a splinter, if there's glass in the front, they break the glass, you know, as long as there's no liability with the,
I think
as long
we
as
pull
Post
the
a
glass.
sign or
We
something?
pull the glass.
Yeah.
Something like an old hutch or an old cabinet glass,
Yeah.
door cabinet. We
people
pull the
find a way to
glass.
sue for
You
everything.
don't need
if they-
glass in
if
there
it's
anyways.
the building, that's.
Well, you could always go plexiglass or something like that
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead.
The one
And
at
it's
the Y
going to be
has
right
glass.
next to the police department.
On
So I
camera.
mean,
Yeah,
Those
camera.
cameras
there's
are
cameras
not,
and,
I suggest that somebody come over and look at the cameras to see what view, where you would best place it, because if you go to either the left or the right of the camera, you won't be able to see it.
I guess my question would be, what is the concern? Other than if somebody,
Oh.
I guess I'm having mixed feelings about the discussion, because I think people, if they need food, they're gonna take it for themselves.
We were talking about putting it
I don't
here.
think we should get tied up in, well, what if somebody's taking it and they really don't need it? Because
No.
that's
I
gonna
think that
happen no
defeats-
matter,
yeah.
you know, the majority of people that are gonna go there obviously are needing it, you know?
If they're
all the
taking it,
people.
if somebody takes it, they must feel they need it.
Right,
I
or
mean,
they're
it's-
gonna take it
We're
for
just gonna
somebody
put it
else.
Comes in.
Chris, are those cameras, those aren't visible to the public, are they?
No.
So they're not,
We can see
That's
somebody
a good
standing at the
tool.
hutch, we can see somebody coming in to the hutch, we just can't see what they're doing at the hutch.
This is actually the camera. that's at that drop-off box. And then there's a camera that shows going into
The doorway.
the doorway, so we could monitor who's coming in. And there may be, I mean, we may be able to get the company to come in and drop the camera down a little bit. We just have to figure out, you know, how far we wanna see down the hallway then.
I think we wanna leave it alone, because we can see
think
the
so.
doors open to the
Mhm.
library.
Right.
I think it's good enough.
I think we owe it to people to have some, you know, if it's by a camera, it's okay to have some anonymity. I mean, I'm thinking of seniors in our community, you know, if they've been at the potluck or whatever and know about the little free pantry, I think they should feel free to go and take, knowing that, you know, they're not being watched, I guess is my,
Well, if the only people are gonna see it's the police department, they're probably.
Yeah, I mean,
they're probably still okay.
I guess I don't want us to get hung up about the camera
Yeah.
too much, is my point.
I think you were just concerned
They don't
about
watch
liability.
I was just concerned about
I know.
liability, that's all.
I
Those
know.
tapes are only reviewed if there's an issue.
Yeah, no, my only concern is liability
Mhm.
of the,
Mhm.
not
Safety.
whether you get somebody on the camera or not. I mean, people are sue happy today, so they,
Yeah.
you know, if they, you know, cut themselves on a toilet paper roll, they tend to sue. And if you put something else in the facility that's not part of the facility, then you could potentially open yourself up and not have any coverage. As long as the insurance for the building is written, the liability coverage for the building is written, that if anything that we put in the building is part of the structure, it should be covered, but it should be something that we look at to make sure before it goes in.
Yeah, there's a liability umbrella also attached.
Are we looking for a motion on this, or
Yes.
just a head nod?
I should have mentioned that A through D would all be coming at the recommendation of the Public Facilities Group. So they would, yes, we need a motion to approve in a second to put them into action.
Any other questions, or
Um,
do we have a motion?
So we're looking for a motion to put it in, or just to,
Place the unit on a trial basis
okay.
at the recommendation of the Public Facilities Committee.
I'll make a motion to install or open it up for installation of the little free pantry on a trial basis inside the municipal building.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Would this be something we could get in the Village Voice Center kind of,
Unfortunately, missed it by about a week.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
in future?
yeah. In spring, we'd have to definitely do a spring publication of it, yes.
And then we could have our subcommittee organized or whoever.
Yeah. The other thing we've been real good at, Dan, is any event that brings people into this building, such as an election, we make note of it. There's placards that we put up for public display of what's available, what amenities are available, so,
And it might be something to go on the website right away.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, as soon as it's placed, it'll be put out, social media channels.
B, naming of facilities, erecting plaques, and monument dedication. Opera House Gymnasium renaming recommendations from Public Facilities Committee.
I'll defer that to Dave in 200 words or less.
Also in your packet, so there is a one-page explanation of the policy for the Village of Hortonville. And at the recommendation of the Public Facilities Committee, the group wanted to organize and recognize the Schneider family for what they've done, for their contributions to the Opera House. So now I believe what the recommendation moving forward is renaming the gym of the Opera House as the Robert and Ann Schneider Ballroom. And that's under 200 words, I do believe, correct?
Yeah, good job.
So, part of the rental issue that, moving forward, they want to make it sound more elegant. They don't want it to be known as just a gym, because a lot of what goes in there are weddings and better events. So they want to recognize it and clearly display the thanks and gratitude to the Schneiders for what they've done. Significant improvements through the years. Carl can speak to that. But then have it not only named, but then have it visually known that when you walk in there, it is the Robert and Ann Schneider Ballroom. So, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. We're gonna have to find somebody who can do that kind of stenciling. We've had a lot of stenciling done on the library, but I don't know who did it, so, if anybody knows anybody, the area where I thought we would put it, we're actually gonna have to put it on the border for the stage. So the top border, but there's not enough room between the border and the ceiling. There's only like 3 inches, so it'll go on the trim board for the stage. So I think it'll look nice. Again, from now on, we're not gonna call it gym anymore, so it'll be ballroom, or Robert and Ann Schneider ballroom.
Do you think that's something Carl Mann would step up to do?
Mike, we'll have to ask him.
He's an artist.
Yeah. I'd rather see it painted than stenciled, so if he's
Well,
willing to do
painted,
it.
yeah. That's what I,
Yeah. We'll look into it, once,
Okay.
if it's approved.
So that would also be, that would be a motion from,
We're looking for a specific motion to change the name.
yeah, yep, to rename it in honor of the Schneiders, the Robert and Ann Schneider Ballroom, would be the appropriate title.
So I'll make a motion that we change the name of the current gymnasium to the Robert and Ann Schneider Ballroom.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. C, community center rental rates.
So for these, we just decided to, the goal was to lower the cost to a renter. The deposit was really high for a renter to rent it, and we figured it's better to use a facility that we already are paying for than to not use it at all.
I think,
They're in your packet.
yeah. Some of the questions, aside from the rent, was addressing the deposit issue. While we felt $200 wasn't high enough as a deposit to motivate people into doing a proper cleaning job, I think we all agree that $300 would be. But on top of that, we also reduced the rates. There were some other questions from the committee regarding language on the rental documents. Some of those were related to,
It was related to fees over the deposit. I took it from the back part, which it can get lost in the verbiage, so I brought it to the front page and added initials next to it, so they are sent. So we have initials right next to it that we will go for damages over the deposit.
okay. Yeah, that was the language the committee wanted to see prominent on the rental permit. I guess what we did is we made this more affordable for renting, right? Well, we're not on this one yet. Are we on the offer also?
No,
no.
community center.
All right. Again, we made it, there was discussion about weekend rentals, but I think we stuck to full day rentals, so.
Have we ever thought about cleaning up these rental terms and making them match?
I just told him one there's
Because
too many.
I
There-
read through both of them and
Yes.
there's a lot of cleanup.
Yes.
Is that something you can just do in the office?
Yes.
Do we have
Yeah.
to take this to a committee?
No, I think the rates were the key, and now we just gotta clean up some of the language associated with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I started to, some of there used to be a list in order of who got access to this room. And that took up 2 pages, so I got rid of that. And a lot of the in-house stuff that the renter, an average renter doesn't need to know about our policy, I took that out. So, yeah,
yeah.
still in progress of cleaning that.
Yeah, the bigger problem was,
Yeah.
when we'd have people coming in to rent, we didn't know what to tell them, because they're starting to book. And essentially, these people are looking to book, and we wanna charge them appropriately now, so we don't wanna carry a rate and then have to renege on the rate, and so it was just more along the lines of, and user friendliness, you know, there was a lot of issues with weekend coverage and usage, so I think the language isn't as important as now the rental is, the rental cost. So I think if we approve this, we can move forward with it and just
Step
clean,
2.
yeah, just to clean it up.
Does anyone have any questions?
We're talking about renting this space here.
This
This
building,
space,
yeah.
yeah.
So what it used to be, Jim, was extremely high.
Yeah.
And 2 parts.
And 2 parts. Essentially, the premise the group took, talking about is this needs to get utilized more. Bring in some of your smaller meetings and use this facility, whether it be, you know, it's basically a daytime thing. a lot of what we get requested for here are not-for-profits anyway, so we kind of waive the fee anyway.
Okay.
But if you want to use it for a shower, you got a beautiful kitchen facility, you know, it's set up for it. We just, the rates are ridiculous, so nobody used it. I mean, you're talking $400 or $500 for a day. So nobody wanted to rent it.
Plus we had hour rates that no one ever,
Yeah. So it was just, we had to take a look at it, strong look at it.
Any other questions? And can we have a motion, please?
I guess I'll do it. I think what we're doing here is,
C.
I'll make a motion, C, to approve the community center, updated rental rates. And not and we'll clean up with the caveat that we'll be cleaning up the language with the specifics, but the rates we can approve. Okay?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. D, Opera House rental rates.
I'll refer that one over to Carl.
Help me, Opera House?
Yeah,
Again, same situation, we had a lot of conflict, between renters, you know, cleaning up and this and that, and we wanted to make it, I don't, can you, I printed everything but that page. Anyways, what we found is, we modified the deposit to make it a little more,
acceptable.
yeah, acceptable, and also give them a little more impetus to clean up. And we stuck some of that language on the front page, right? So again, the board needed some clarification on some language regarding a couple of issues. That's now on the front page, and I think everybody came away pretty satisfied with that. I know.
Didn't we also get rid of the separation of upper and lower? You just rent the building and be done, right?
Yeah. Well, if somebody wants to come in, we're not gonna tell them, they have to rent the whole, if they would just want the gym, we'll just let them rent or no, the ballroom, we'll let them rent the ballroom, right? They're gonna get the whole building, but,
Yeah, it's one price, full day
Right.
or weekend
Yeah.
rental. You get both floors.
Yeah.
If you're gonna just use the gym, well, then you're gonna
Bar.
still pay for the bottom as well.
And the weekend rate covers from 6 PM Friday to 6 PM Sunday.
Correct.
So it gives you plenty of time to go in there and decorate the day before the event and clean up the day after. So that's the whole weekend rate.
And it allows our weekday users to set themselves back up, because we have people that use that facility 5, 6 AM on Monday morning, so.
We also had a problem in the past where we had an event going up on the first floor that was the old gym, and there was church being conducted down in the basement, and there was a lot of issues there. So that's where we went with the whole day, or the whole weekend.
I think what will likely happen then is if we have a paid renter, then a nonprofit like that may have to take the second fiddle, play second fiddle. So if you're okay with that, they're not paying anything anyways. The
So that would be up
Legion,
to
the Legion's a whole
Discretion of
other
whoever's
animal.
renting it.
Yeah, we have a calendar. Nathan updated, there is a calendar there. Essentially, it's first come, first served. That's how it's always been treated. The people like, such as the Legion, their meetings are in there. They're in there for the entire year. So if people are scheduling or trying to schedule those days, we inform them that the Legion has that priority. They're already set, so.
There's a calendar on the website now that
No.
shows, okay, but that's something that we're working towards, right?
Yeah, trying to, yes. The nonprofits and stuff, we usually rent during the week, and that's when we have them rent, and they rent by the hour, because they're free. Most of them are free things that the village offers, for people to come in and do. So those we kind of just do by hour, and that's why in the Opera House, we have a caveat allowing for certain things to be past that. So if you're a nonprofit that wants to start at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, we can still negotiate those terms, so.
Good.
I'll make a motion that we update the Opera House rental rates as per the recommendations of the committee in the packet.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. E, ordinance codification discussion and approval.
I can start on it, and I'm gonna ask Jane and Nathan just to chime in as needed. So in your packet, you're wondering why there was 92 pages of print. We included the entire contract from not only Muni Code, but also General Code. Long story short, we sat through a couple hours of webinars and sneak peeks of these in an effort to find the best provider of ordinance codification services. I'm not gonna talk negatively on either one of them. It comes down to what we're looking for. Probably the biggest difference is, as Nathan and I talked about it today, both are 10 to 12 month processes. It's gonna take a lot of our input to help them recodify. I'm sure Bob will be involved in the process as well. We thought it was the best fit for Hortonville primarily because A, it's cheaper, and B, the biggest caveat that we saw the difference amongst it was we don't need to change our ordinances tomorrow. If we enact something tonight, we don't need to change tomorrow on our books. One of the providers had just-in-time changeover, the other one, we could set it and do it quarterly, where they're basically sitting in, we know they're being ready to be recodified, they sit there until they do it quarterly. It's all in what you want to pay. One of them was, the one that we're gonna make a motion to approve would be the Muni Code, is $8,950 versus the General Code, which is $12,995. What we're looking for tonight is approval on the Muni Code at a base rate of $8,950. We would then essentially put that into the 2020 budget. I will let the council know that we also have $10,000 set aside already from the last 2 years to pay for this. So we kept the line item, we put $5,000 aside the last 2 years. So there is a line item in our current book that would cover this for next year. We just need to appropriate it to the 2020 budget. So, do you want to add anything?
Which one's quarterly and which one was just in time?
The one that we're checking would be, the one that we'd be asking for is Muni Code, which would be $8,950. That's the one that would be quarterly, correct.
And they'll do it for us, so we don't have to have someone do it.
Yeah.
So, where the other one, it was, you would have an employee upload it yourself and have that ability. But
This will offer all the amenities, so they'll completely rewrite the book, they'll have a legal review, you will get 1 or 2 bound hard copies, you can pay for more if you want it, it's not really necessary in today's world. You always want to have 1 or 2 copies, one for the library, I would suggest one for Village Hall. It's on your webpage, very accessible on your website. Standardized, I mean, it is, we use Muni Code in the last 2 stops that I've been in for locations in Sheboygan and Delafield. User-friendly, and like I said, it basically tells you if you're looking for something you can't find it, you always check the first thing that says these are yet to be codified, and it will give you your topics. So anything that was passed, like we could put it in there tomorrow and say yet to be codified, and it would have the ordinance number listed. So it just, however, I mean, we could pay to have it done every day, refresh, but you pay for it. I mean, we're talking about ordinance codes that haven't been redone in 2 decades, so we gotta wait 3 months, I think we're okay here. So a lot of what we've done now is, last year since I've been here, we've cleaned up a lot already. So, but they're gonna find stuff. It's gonna be a constant. It's gonna be Nathan's baby here going into 2020. We're gonna turn him loose on it. So,
He's got 2 babies.
More one babies.
he'll want to be at the office more, I'm sure of it. So, no, but again, no money expended right now. It would be. We don't even know their deliverables. Like I said, I'm sure we'll have to pay something short term, but it's legitimately a 10 to 12 month process before it's complete. So,
is there an annual fee?
yes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about, is that?
Yes.
Do you want to ask it?
Well, yes and no.
No, I
I
insist.
don't want to
You do
interrupt
it.
you.
What's
No,
that?
It
I'm
does.
tired of
Yeah.
asking. You can-
there's an annual fee, and then it has a new ordinance payment that
It's
you
per page.
per page ordinance update.
Once it's all done, is that something that's needed to have them involved annually, or?
Annually, well, otherwise, if you don't pay the annual fee,
Okay,
you would end up having that ordinance book in stone, and that's it.
Correct.
So then you would have to, anything new, you wouldn't be able to put it onto that website.
Correct.
Oh, then you're locked down for
Yeah.
it.
So it'd be
Yeah.
just like we had, they'd fix it one time and be done. And I believe the $395 is the annual fee,
Yep.
plus $18 per page in
For
addition when
new
they write
pages.
code.
After the
After the
initial baseline.
Yep, yep.
And David, could you repeat that amount?
$395 annual,
Okay.
plus $18 per page for codification.
That's new, or 18 per
Correct.
page for new?
Yeah, I mean, most are under a page. So you're essentially talking, I mean, there's no language that gets carried away. It's
Yeah.
mostly a paragraph, you know, what we send them, everything we've redone, there's been nothing long. I mean, it's typically not.
More than a page.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that $395 then takes what you give them, uploads it, redoes your webpage, codifies it, and keeps it in sync. So they're always monitoring it. That's the $395 a year, so.
Worth every penny.
Absolutely.
For that, do you get a new printed copy every year?
Once a year, you'll get copies, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you can get more, but you pay for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
worth
I
every
think-
penny.
I think that it also notifies you quarterly or yearly if there's any legal
Correct.
changes in laws and
Correct.
stuff like that. So if there's something that we need to look at, for instance, the shooting of the bows in the backyard and guns on village, or on city property. So it would notify that that's,
We need to change something because of
Yeah.
a law change.
yeah,
So if there's a conflict between one of our municipal codes and the,
they'll go through all that in the
State.
beginning.
Correct.
okay.
And right now, we don't have anyone looking at that.
No,
Right
we-
now,
we-
they're
we
just so
basically-
old
we
and
are-
outdated.
We're not doing anything preventative, we're doing reactive. When we
Yeah.
find something that's error, we bring it to attention immediately.
Yeah,
So, and then have to apologize or try to make good on it, if especially if it goes to a citizen that discovers there's a wrongdoing, you know, then it just looks bad, looks terrible.
and the nice thing is, anyone can look up an ordinance.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the nice thing, a
Right.
resident.
I probably get 1 or 2 solicitations a week
questions?
on ordinance code, that I have to find it and pull it up.
And
And
hope it's
send it
not
to-
screwed up.
Well, then look at it before or copy and paste it and send it off in a Word document and email it off to them. Because they're looking for clarification, if it's something between a property line dispute or nuisance or what, you know, dogs and animals at large, or, so, at least 1 or 2 a week. So,
Bob, do you have an opinion, or can I ask your opinion?
Sure, it's a great idea.
Okay.
It's a long time,
Okay,
Long time.
thank you.
yeah, so it's good. And there's neighboring communities use the same
I
service.
saw that on the.
Yeah, so
on
it's a good service as far as I can tell.
So what are we looking for here?
just a motion to approve the contract, because yet, we haven't dispensed the money yet, so. I would say let's approve the $89.50 as the base contract. Moving forward, that would be, that we wouldn't have to bring it back when we have to dispense it.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the 8950 contract for the Muni Code for the ordinance codification.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. F, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussions?
I got one. Stop sign. Do
That's
we
it.
wanna talk about that officially at the board?
Do you want that at the board or public safety?
I think it was taken down by the board, it should probably just
Okay.
go back to, that's, it's up to you, but.
I agree. If it was taken down, it should probably be discussed with the board.
So we put it up for board discussion next time?
17?
Is there anything else? No? If not, we'll move on to 9, report of village officials. A, administrator.
There was a handout that I gave to each of you prior to the meeting. Happy to report, Public Works building is moving forward. We will see concrete tomorrow. So in less than 2 weeks' time, we moved from nothing to having a concrete foundation. So you'll start seeing walls very soon on that. Village programming, interviews last week for the police department. I don't want to speak more than that. I'll let Chris take that. But Public Safety Committee did meet. There has been an approval for a hire for the full-time police officer. We have met with community recreation specialists in order to aid the Public Facilities Committee. I'm also meeting with HYS on Monday. We're looking at upgrades in our parks. So this service is a specialist that helps better layout plan future developments in parks. We are also extending hours starting this week of the compost site. So we have that on social media. People are pleased with that. Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays will be later till 7 o'clock, Saturdays until noon. Going into the fall season here, it'll be helpful that people will be more accessible to the citizens. In your packet, you'll find for marketing and branding, the 2-page little write-up about from the Appleton Monthly on the hurry into, as a print, misprint, it should be hurry into Hortonville article that was put in the Appleton magazine. Hit on a few things. I told Sean I was a little disappointed. I solicited probably 13 pages of information that I gave him. We got pretty simple write-up for 2 pages of information there. I gave them pages and pages and lists and lists.
A lot of pictures,
and,
not so much wordage.
yeah, I gave them a ton of information, calendars of what's coming up, and it was everything's good. I'm not gonna derail it, but there was a lot. I put a lot of time in to get, I could have wrote that in 15 minutes.
Some of it was generic,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
enjoy a fall walk or a cookout or a nature walk.
yeah. So
To the cemetery.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah. So unfortunate, but it still brings them in, hopefully. A couple outside meetings, public input listening session, myself. There was about 200 people there, Jeannie, correct, last week at the high school?
Yep,
Nice turnout
that's
for the
what they
Highway
said.
15 session. There was what I would say minimal negative talk. It was all positive thoughts. So moving forward. Also did a DOT webinar in relation to the grant that we spoke about earlier. So a lot of moving parts here going into the fall, and then I'll just touch on it. Jane and Carl and Nathan have been working on the budget a ton, so I'm thankful for their assistance. We're making strides, so we're gonna have a piece together here real shortly. A lot of moving parts on the budget as well. Unless there's any questions for me.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to B, clerk treasurer.
I just wanted to report on the Treasurers Conference that I attended in Cable, Wisconsin. It was a very good conference. Started out with the FBI speaking on carrying fraud and theft prevention. That was very good. And it went to sharing blue ribbon customer service tips. You can always learn something from that. And sharing the ins and outs of powers of attorney, estate planning and wills, how to identify counterfeit money, accept checks and handle cash, and we have a very good, can't think of the wording, where not one person handles the cash, receipts it in, and then does the, we have a good process in place. Another thing we talked about was sharing ways to make the most out of leave bank payouts, which sick bank payouts. That was very interesting. And and sharing the legislative update by Kurt Wittinsky from the league. So it was a very good conference, and I'm glad I could attend.
Any questions for Jane? If not, we'll move to C, Director of Public Works.
Just a couple things, and they're kind of related to our previous Public Works Committee meeting earlier. We're looking at costs related to maintenance on the Mill Street Bridge. Nothing serious, mostly just protecting the integrity of the concrete. And we also discussed our capital improvement plan, project prioritization, and purchase of new equipment. Public Works Committee members have that proposed 20 through 25 CIP. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send it electronically to everybody. That way, if you're sitting watching TV, pull it up on your laptop or something. So, yeah. So that's about it. I don't have much. It was a busy week.
Any questions for Carl? If not, we'll move to D, Police Chief.
We met, we determined, or we selected Tyler Hayden to be our full-time officer. Tyler's been with our police department for 9 years, He's been a part-timer for 9 years, so he is really excited. So his first official day is going to be the 6th, the 8th of November. Yep, and he will be working the night shift. So,
Very excited.
he's very excited. I handed out our monthly activity. And I know some of you have been looking and asking, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah, what's a 911 misdial?
But,
Butt dial?
Well, yes.
Or is it just accidental finger or whatever, no?
No, a lot of them are like the butt dials, or they're accidentally hitting the emergency button. Kids are playing on the phones, without being supervised, and they hit the emergency call. We didn't see a whole lot of these in the past. However, at, one of our chiefs meetings earlier in the year, it was brought up by a couple different, chiefs that, it would be a good idea for us to be responding to those calls. Basically what they did was they had the dispatcher on the other end of the phone. She would listen. If the person would stay on the line, normally then they would just not dispatch an officer. But, they looked at it again and thought it would be a good idea that we as officers be making sure that we're physically checking the residents and making sure that people are okay. Because it's really easy for somebody else to grab the phone and say, yeah, everything's fine here.
Chris, what's the second assist? What's the acronym there? OUSO?
Assist Outagamie County,
Okay,
we were a backup unit for them.
got it.
Or they were busy and we responded to a call because all their officers were busy. It's usually that's what it is.
Have we seen a diminish in the call reports up to cottages on Main?
I was gonna ask that.
Yes, we have.
Good.
We've had,
Oh,
yep, we,
I'm stealing a lot of thunder.
David put me in contact with we have a property manager
Yes.
that's on scene. We were talking back and forth with her, but it just didn't seem like things were getting taken care of. So he ended up contacting the actual manager. So we made contact with her. So for instance, we got called twice last week for kids playing in that pond.
Oh,
They were waiting for the school bus in the morning, and they were playing on the edge of the pond and in the pond. They were older kids, but I immediately made contact with Jessica, and she went actually from door to door telling each parent that they cannot allow their children, and then they put signage out there letting them know that they can't be near that pond either. So that has been taken care of. We haven't received any calls on that.
so they're cooperating.
They are.
Good.
They are. Any questions on the activity report? No? Okay. One other thing that I would like to bring up, David, Jeannie, and I attended a emergency management meeting that we hosted on the 18th of September. Emergency management stopped by. We had our meeting here. They had the other one, I believe, at Kokana. Some of the things that were brought up is, the storm that we had in July. That we talked about the declaration and when to, put that into place, things like that. One of the things that they suggested is that we have the ICS, which is the Incident Command System 402 course. And that is basically, it's provided as an orientation for the Incident Command System for county or company executives and senior officials, included elected officials, city, county managers, and agency administrators. It reviews 14 principles, and it tells you, or it's going to teach you basically the basic terminology, the common responsibilities, and it will provide enough information so that you have an understanding of how the incident command system works, and then it can be applied toward any type of incident that we have. Basically, you have to have certain ICS levels in order to enter a command post. So this is one of the things that you would need. We have, Rob Olson, who is, an ICS instructor, with the Outagamie County Emergency Management, and he's willing to come one night, and it would take about 2.5 hours, and then each one of you would be certified in the ICS 402. So I'm looking to maybe set a date or pick a date that we can do that. I mean, if we want to do it after one of our board meetings, you know, or just pick a different night or whatever. So let
Let's
him
pick-
pick a day and just
Let's
let
pick
you
a
all
different
know.
night, because sometimes board
Yep.
meetings, we don't know how long they'll
Right.
run.
Absolutely.
We don't want them to have to come and sit.
Right.
You know, but it would be a good idea. It's amazing what we don't know about emergencies in the village.
So essentially, sitting through that meeting, I took 2.5 pages of notes. I condensed it down. I gave Nathan 3/4 of a page, having looked through our emergency response manual that's outdated. Things that weren't included, just things that weren't included in our manual that we need to update. I could go on and on and on. So essentially, like between myself, Chris, and Nathan now, we are rewriting that manual. I threw a end of the year timeline on it. Chris doesn't think we can hit it. We're gonna try our damnedest to get it done and get it updated by the end of the year. It's almost a decade and a half old as well, you know, so it's another manual that hasn't been touched. Something that I would like to update at least annually as well, so.
I mean, it's things that can help our community that
Yes.
we were not aware of.
Yeah.
Well, just
And,
different things, having contracts in place and things like that, because when an incident happens,
Right.
the inflation of the prices all over the place are just skyrocketed, you
Yeah.
know, so if we need generators or whatever, and then we have to rent them, you know, what was once $400 is now probably gonna be $800. But so if we have a contract in place, and basically what we wanna do, and Nathan and I we've been working on it on and off for the last probably 6-8 months. But it's 150 pages, for just the ESFs, which are, you wanna have them mirror the Outagamie County ones. So because if Outagamie County comes in to assist us, which they eventually will, unless it's an isolated incident that just happened in Hortonville. But, you know, they weren't here right away for the tornado that came through. They were assisting all of the agencies that were hit in that whole line with that tornado. And eventually they got to us, but, I mean, this will hold us afloat until we get the help from the professionals, that do this every day, so.
Any questions for Chris?
So do you want me to just kind of get some dates from him and then just kind of send them out? Maybe we can do a survey monthly or something, you know?
Why don't you do that?
Okay, we'll do that. And then, talking about the storm, Jane and I attended a meeting together, for FEMA. We got the information that we needed for that. We ended up, getting onto the grant portal to submit the information for the damages, the cost of the damages that the village had to do so that we could keep the lift stations going and remove the debris and everything. So the deadline for that was, September 26th, so we have that. Now we're just waiting for the call from FEMA. Basically, they'll call and ask us what type of damage we had, what type of, equipment that we used in the manpower hours, so we're just waiting. I don't have anything else. Questions for me?
Then we will move to E, Library Director, and she is absent
She's
tonight.
staffing the library.
Yeah, she was in there. when it
Yep.
came.
Do you want, we had a library board meeting, but I didn't see it listed. Do you want me to wait for that for committees, or do you want me to do?
It's not on the committee.
Right,
to,
But we did
so we might as well
wait.
wait.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay. F is attorney.
I have nothing this evening.
G is building permit report, and there is none. H is municipal court report. Christina?
Yeah, well, I have just a few updates. In the month of September, we had 75 citations on the docket, so that was a little longer court night. We had a lot of juveniles that night, so a lot of meetings. And then collections, we collected $4,742.04. And then we are already over our projected budget for 2019, so we are collecting a lot this year. And we had our September court docket. Overall citations, obviously before collections, was $7,500. And then it's now entering our busy time, so we had our court date last night for October, and that was $11,000. And then I also attended the municipal clerks conference last week in the Dells, and we touched on a lot of different information, the biggest one being courtroom security. So a lot of the municipalities sent in their information and pictures of their courtrooms, so we could discuss with a lot of the officers with what to do in those types of situations. So we went through that and just discussing the different items you could use in the courtroom and so on to help us as clerks, judicial officials, how to set up a plan. And then we went through collection processes, and really it was a great conference. There was a lot of people there, a lot in attendance, and there were a couple issues that happened with municipal clerks this past year that were addressed. One of them being the Bellevue court clerk situation, where there's multiple felonies and issues going on there, as well as the Fox Crossing situation with the judge, and just discussing the different options for court clerks and processes to go through. So if anyone has questions, I'm open.
I do.
Yeah.
Of the 11,000 collection, how much stays in the village?
It
What
is,
percentage?
so for each citation, there's a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that, it would be around, I wanna say around 6,500.
So about 55 to 60%, and the rest goes to state and county?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple places.
Yeah.
So like an OWI situation, their breakdown is a little more advanced, where it goes to a lot of different hands.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So did you get some helpful hints on doing collections? Did that help you a lot, or?
Some, what they're working on is getting more clerks into using the collections, because right now, only the municipal clerks use the state debt collection program. So circuit court doesn't use the state debt collection program. A lot of the circuit courts use their own collection. So they talk just the different options, weighing it out, seeing what works best for your community. And then we had one of the ladies from the state debt there, and she said they have over $7 million right now that they have, that they're working on.
Anyone else have any questions?
I just had a question about the safety, Christina. Is there an officer here on court night?
We try to have one here. However, if they get a call,
Yeah.
they get called away. So, from 5:30 until 6, we have one scheduled, so he's coming in here at 5:30 until 6, and then he's relieved at 6 until court, but sometimes court will go until 7, 8 o'clock at night. So, if they get called away in that 2 hours on a 911 hang-up, or anything for that matter, then it will be,
Have there been situations at all? So, I mean.
There was a couple individuals that were wild cards that we weren't sure, but there hasn't been any type of a violent situation that has happened.
I'm just
But-
thinking there's no metal detectors.
No.
Nothing.
no.
Is there a quick button To push.
But if they push the button, then there's nobody in that police department, it's not going anywhere.
That was a
So-
concern that was brought up
So is that
because,
something we need to look at?
Well, and we kinda talked about it a little bit, in the middle of this year, and there's a lot of agencies that have, a part-timer that they just strictly hire for a bailiff.
Uh-huh.
So Black Creek has got a retired captain from APD, and that's all she does. She comes in and she does court once a month, and, you know, it's 2-3 hours, and she's happy with that. She, you know, she does the training, the firearms training, the taser training and stuff like that with the local police department, with the police department. She would be an employee of the police department, but she would be, or he would be here that entire time if something would happen. They would have a radio, they would be carrying a radio, and that if something happened, they could call for assistance, you know, here.
and that is one of my concerns. I had an individual at my window about 2 months ago that was terrible, and he was very unruly, and the library could hear him. They were concerned, there was families in the library, and I pushed my button. But it only goes into that office. So I don't know if there's any possibility or way of having it go to county as a backup, but that was one of those situations where I pushed it and I didn't know, nobody came, and I didn't know what happened when I pushed the button. So then after the situation calmed down, and then I walked with Officer Hauser to look at it. But that's definitely a concern of mine, to get in place a safety process for even that minimal situation that I know I can stay in my office, but how do I notify the library? How, you know, so that's a piece that I took away from it that I would like to look into, to make a plan in place just within the building, whether it's at court night or during my work time.
So is there a way to,
You're going from 0 to 100, and if we start addressing stuff like that, it's gonna get extremely expensive.
We do have an action plan
Bailiff
for.
during court sounds good. I mean, other than just, you know, having quick dial 911 on your phone.
We
Start
do
talking
have-
security, it's gonna go through the roof, you know, you might as well, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No.
If you wanna secure the building like,
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just wondering if there's a way to,
You did
they
budget.
push the button and it goes in
oh,
there.
if they're not in there,
it's
what if they're
there.
out on the street?
Yeah.
For the officer.
Yeah.
Is
during
there
court
some way to
days.
contact the officer that's?
They did put a
They
budget
call it
item
the
in for the
911.
2020 budget into their line item.
Dispatch.
Court, so.
But to contact, I mean, the best thing would be, is to call 911. You know, if you have a situation, it would be no different than somebody screaming and yelling on your front door, you know, as they're banging, and call 911. You're gonna get somebody right away.
Do you have, safety training that you're going to do for this building, for the whole building?
Well, we draft it, yep, we draft it, and it might be a good idea to get everybody together a couple days. I don't think that you can do everybody at the same time unless we close all the offices.
Because in a case like that, then the library would know, you lock your doors immediately, or.
I made every department aware of the manual that we have and said, made sure everybody had a copy of it. So we do have steps in process, it's just a matter of they know what they're supposed to do. So there is a manual, it is updated, so it's out there, it's just a matter of using it,
Perfect.
so.
But the court situation is in the budget, did you say? Yes, no? I
She
mean,
put a
for
line
safe-
item for,
Or during court night,
Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move to 10, communications and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
Nothing from there.
B, Hortonville Hortonia Fire District News.
Nothing new.
C is Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News. There is none in the packet. D is Hortonville Civic Association.
Staying alive.
Okay, and E is Senior Activities Committee.
We had a meeting this past Thursday. We're continuing to plan for the Senior Autumn Fest, which is on the 16th. If anybody needs flyers, we've tried to circulate them, have a banner up. Hopefully the word has gotten out. One of the concerns that we wanna look into is foot care clinics. We're down to one in the community every other month, and we thought there were 2 a month going on, so we're gonna see if there's a need for that. We're going to carpool to, Seymour for Jerry App's presentation. And, Karen Dickrell from UW Extension brought information on a grant that she would love to see us do, be involved in. It's for intergenerational involvement, so, working with kids at school would work with our seniors in technology and, do some journaling together, learning from each other. Nathan was in on the discussion, and I think we kind of passed it to David, and Karen's gonna do some more research. It wouldn't cost us anything. It would be, you know, run by the, powers that be through the extension. It's really good, cause Karen always looks to us, cause we started the senior activities committee a number of years ago, and she's been just great in advocating for our community. Autumn Fest, and I think that's it. Did I forget anything, Nathan? Nathan's been great getting the flyers ready and everything. Any questions for me?
If none, we'll move to 11, comments and suggestions from citizens present.
Did you want anything on library? I'm sorry, Jean.
Oh, no, it's not listed,
Oh.
so,
Okay,
no.
I should probably call you, and that isn't on there, right, for the library board? Okay.
No comments from anyone? If not, I am looking for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Has that